Hello my good friends, it's Drew here. Before we kick things off, I wanted to give a huge thanks to all of you for helping the channel reach 1,000 subscribers. However far this little channel is destined to go, I'm so happy to have met so many awesome people, and I intend to keep at this as long as I'm able. So when deciding what kind of video essay to do next, I randomly felt like playing Super Mario 64 again. I recently had finally gotten a hold of an official Nintendo 64 controller for Nintendo Switch Online, so it felt like a good opportunity to revisit the game on the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection the way it was originally intended. The camera was a little bit wonky until I realized you had to select the invert option in the main settings to get the original camera controls. Now, a lot was said about the 3D All-Stars collection upon release, the main criticism being that these were basically bare-bones releases. This feels especially true with Super Mario 64, which is presented in its original 4:3 ratio, although upscaled a bit to 960 by 720p. We have seen some excellent widescreen remasters of N64 games such as Banjo-Kazooie, so it is slightly disappointing to see so little put into it compared to the full HD presentation of Sunshine and Galaxy. Alas, it is what it is, but this video is going to be more focused on what I consider to be the enduring magic of this groundbreaking 3D platformer. "1996 was an incredible year to be a Mario fan. During the summer of that year, I was obsessed with a little Super Nintendo game called Super Mario RPG. At that time, it was the absolute height of what a video game experience could be for me, but little did I know of what was literally just around the corner. In the fall, I saw the commercial for Super Mario 64, and I don't think I've ever had or ever since wanted to play a game so passionately. I inquired obsessively over where I could try it out, and eventually got word it was at Sears. I've mentioned Sears maybe once or twice here before, but that place was goated for trying new games. Anyways, I got to the Sears entrance in the mall and literally ran to the kiosk where Mario was just sleeping there. I grabbed the controller and was just instantly enamored with how natural it felt to move Mario around. I wandered around the courtyard, took a dive in the moat, and spent way too long trying to get in the underwater door. It took me forever to figure out where Bob-omb Battlefield was, but I don't think I've ever had a better first play experience with a game. This was a game changer. Now, a common thing you hear about Super Mario 64 is that while it was revolutionary for its time, it hasn't exactly aged well. To a degree, I definitely agree with that sentiment. My opinion of the game is not that state of gleeful nirvana I felt as a 9-year-old. For quite a while, actually, I had grown quite bored of it, preferring more fleshed out and characterized 3D platformers such as the before-mentioned Banjo-Kazooie. Recently, though, I think I've come back to an appreciation of what still makes the game great. First, let's talk about the controls. Mario is still an absolute joy to move around. The analog movement is actually still pretty precise, and it should be mentioned that the new wireless N64 controller for Switch is pretty close to the real thing. Mario scurries around like a hyperactive hamster, and with some practice you can pull off some very satisfying maneuvers like the triple jump, side somersault, wall jumps, and the speedrunner's best friend, the long jump. The game very much encourages you to experiment with these moves to see what is possible. I even like the swimming controls in the game. You have to press the A button with a specific timing to swim at the fastest speed, and I just find getting that rhythm down to be a lot of fun. Power-ups also make a return as magical caps that enhance how Mario can move around in his environment. The wing cap allows you to fly through the air and has a very satisfying dive and swoop mechanic that takes a bit of practice. The invisible cap allows you to go through certain objects, while the awesome metal cap turns you invincible and lets you sink in water. We also have to mention the game's absolute best power-up, the Koopa Shell. This baby can go across anything, water, sand, and even lava. Collecting 100 coins in Lethal Lava Land might be my favorite star in the entire game, just because of this. I haven't even talked about sliding yet! Nintendo didn't have to put in slope physics with everything else going on, but sliding just feels perfect in this game. Sliding at high speeds just feels natural, and it's still a great showcase for how good the analog controls are. It's not super common, but many of the game's best stars are built perfectly around this mechanic alone. Going back to objectives, your main task is to collect power stars to progress further in Princess Peach's castle. You traverse 15 main courses with 7 stars each, plus 15 stars, making a pretty sizable total of 120, especially for the time. Star missions are a little bit weird in that some can only be obtained when a particular mission is selected, whereas most of the game's other stars can be gotten in any order. For example, the mission The Race Koopa Troopa in Bob-omb Battlefield doesn't become available until you complete the prior one of defeating the Bob-omb King. But the 6th star, where you free the Chain Chomp, can be cleared at any time. The most egregious example of a star mission needing prerequisites is Snowman's Lost His Head, which can only be unlocked after you complete the 4 previous star objectives of Cool Cool Mountain. Thankfully, this more linear structure is mostly in the game's first 5 stages. Almost every other stage afterwards can have their stars completed in any order, and this is where the freedom truly begins to show. The before mentioned freedom of movement also opens up multiple solutions for objectives. Instead of using a cannon in this level, for example, just do a wall jump to reach the platform. Don't want to use an owl to reach the cage star? A long jump from the tower can do the trick. One kind of star that's in every stage is to collect 100 coins. I actually find these ones to be really interesting because they're the only core stars that don't kick you out of the level after getting it. This allows you to potentially collect 2 stars with one run. Some of these are also very challenging, and you have to plan carefully how you sweep through the level. Now, there are many who mention that Super Mario 64's graphics are pretty dated, even for an N64 game. And yeah, just look at Banjo-Kazooie, there's no comparison. But playing a bit of devil's advocate, I'm going to say there is a bit of timeless charm to the look of the game. Mario himself is so distinct in his look from literally every other version of the character. He looks more like some feral woodland creature that yells "Wahoo!" I also think the simple design is what makes the eel look so creepy, with the sharp pointy teeth and the piercing glare. There is also a vibrancy to the colors that gives the game's simple geometric shapes a bit of a pop to them. Going from 2D to 3D environments really gave Koji Kondo a new canvas for writing music. The soundtrack is catchy, bouncy, but there really is one piece that is truly outstanding in Dire Dire Docks. The tune starts out with a simple, almost serene chime. Then when you dive in the water, the strings kick in. Later on, when you have to get to an accent section and jump across some poles, a percussive beat kicks in to tie it all together. It's a beautifully evolving track and one I listen to most every day while I'm working. In conclusion, Super Mario 64 isn't the game it used to be back in 1996, but a surprising amount of the charm and magic has still carried over to this day. 3D gaming and platforming has evolved a lot since then, but I still find myself returning to this game because quite a bit of the magic is still there. Mario still controls like an absolute dream. The level design, moveset, and physics allow nearly infinite experimentation that speedrunners are still optimizing as we speak. The rose-colored glasses have faded over time, but I would still heartily recommend this game to anyone. This is Drew, the Nostalgia Maniac, signing off.